Hey, this is Michael at Flat 6, and today we're going to be installing a Kline Innovation's Inconel exhaust on this beautiful Brewster Green GT4 RS. Let's get into it. So this is the Kline Innovation's GT4 RS Valvetronic exhaust system with OAP. This does have the optional heat shielding on it, which we highly recommend on both the 718 GT4 and the GT4 RS. Just the back of the car produces a lot of heat, so definitely go with the heat shielding. But to speak more about the exhaust itself, this is the 625 Inconel. Also comes in 304 stainless steel. This customer opted to go with the lighter weight Inconel system. It also has a lot better thermal properties than stainless. Once again, the back of these cars produce a tremendous amount of heat, so any way of reducing that or managing that better is always a win. The nice thing about this exhaust compared to the OEM system is you get a true bypass with the valves open, whereas even though obviously it's a valved exhaust from the factory, both open and closed still goes through some form of muffler, whereas this, there's basically two pathways like any other valve system. One obviously goes through a muffled system here, but the other is a complete bypass. So when the valves are open, it's truly a bypass system there, which is awesome. And then, like I said, it's one of the few options that you can get Inconel. Normally there's, Krapovich, for example, makes a titanium option. Obviously there's a lot of stainless options. Kline Innovations is one of the few that offer Inconel, which, if you're not familiar with, is another lightweight material such as titanium, but it dissipates and manages heat a lot better. It's used in a lot of aerospace applications as well as Formula One. So yeah, let's get this installed on the car, and then once it's on the car, we'll get inside and do a little impression. All right, guys, so we just finished installing the Inconel exhaust, Kline Inconel exhaust. So we're in the car now. Put a few miles on it here just to kind of get some impressions of it. And obviously sounds pretty objective, and we'll have some exterior clips and stuff like that for you to hear. And obviously video generally doesn't do it justice, but to kind of describe to you the difference versus stock with this particular system, there's a little bit unique circumstances with this car that's a little bit different than most other, Porsches that we put an exhaust on. And the big one is the intake location on this car. Obviously, one of the main features of this car is the intake being right behind your head. And that's a huge factor in just the overall experience of this car and the sound that you get while driving it. I would say it's not what you would anticipate when you think of the intake sitting behind your head. So if you either own one or you drive one, you know what I mean. You're not getting what you would anticipate as a natural induction sound. Stock, what I find is, it drones tremendously bad, not necessarily the exhaust, but just that intake. And the reason for that is you're getting much more engine noise reverberating up back through the intake and behind your head than you are induction noise, unless you're obviously wide open throttle. But just cruising around, all you're getting is a lot of engine noise back up through the intake and right behind your head. So it's kind of obnoxious. So the most interesting thing about this exhaust is once we've freed up a lot of that restriction, and I suspect a lot of that is actually the OPF restriction that sits there and just the restrictive muffler section, a lot of that reverberating engine noise coming back up through the intake is virtually gone, which is awesome, because now it sounds more true to what I would anticipate, that induction noise behind your head. You're hearing more of induction than you are engine noise, which is a good thing in this case. So a lot of that intake noise and drone from that is gone, and you're obviously now getting a lot more induction, but also a lot more exhaust note rather than engine note, which is what you'd want in this particular car. So first and foremost, I just want to address that because that's by far the biggest change. And that's not necessarily this exhaust system, that's really any exhaust system that's going to be eliminating the OPF and just adding more free flow through the muffler as well. Is it, we've obviously just done this Kline exhaust, but we've also done a Krapovich with some over-axle pipes in the past, and it resolved the issue the same way. So that would be the first talking point that I'd want to address. But B, as far as how does the actual exhaust sound, we find that Kline, across all Porsche models, does a really, really good job at maintaining that Porsche sound, right? So they're not dramatically altering the sound of the car. They're just improving what's already there, and you're getting that true flat six sound, but it's just amplified. It's more crisp and it's not as dull. So it has a really sharp sound to it, but it still sounds like a flat six, which is what we really appreciate about Kline. Obviously it's louder. I would say with valves closed, cruising at highway speeds, it's very, very similar to stock. It's actually hard to compare because of that reduction in engine noise coming through the intake. It's actually a much quieter overall experience, which is interesting. But overall exhaust sound is probably up 5% or so, I would say, if you wanted to quantify it, with valves closed. And then with valves open, it sounds like a sports car. It's what you would expect. I'd say cruising around 10-15% more volume, no drone at all. Once again, kind of hard to quantify just because of how overwhelming that engine noise was through the intake prior to doing this. So it really is just a completely different experience. It's just more of a natural experience, I would say. You're getting a lot more exhaust note, you're getting a lot more induction. So overall, just a much better experience. But we'll drop down a few gears here for you. See if we can't give you a little idea what that sounds like. Just a much better experience. Sounds like a GT car should sound. You no longer get that dull, muffled tone. Porsche does a good job, considering the restrictions that they go through, to keep the NA flat six as true as it can be, and they do get it pretty good. I would say that traditional Porsche note is always there, but there's just something missing, and it's just a little dull or flat, and any aftermarket exhaust is going to wake it up. But once again, this Kline system captures that flat six sound, just opens it up a lot, gives you that really crisp, the best way I can describe it, and if you've ever driven any GT car with an aftermarket exhaust on it, it literally sounds like you're tearing the universe apart when you're at 9,000 RPM, and that's the best part about it. It'll never get old. 9,000 RPM in any GT car is just a phenomenal experience, and an aftermarket exhaust just really encapsulates that. But either way, we offer a few different options. Like I said, this is the Kline Innovation. Comes in 304 stainless, and then you know, we also offer a lot of other vendors that make an exhaust for this car. I would say out of all of the models that we service, this is the one that needs it the most. But until next time, check out flat6.com. Thanks.